Hello everyone, my name's Aaron with Jackson Bottom and welcome to Backyard Science. Today we are talking about producers and decomposers and how they fit within the nutrient cycle, or what's better known as the food web. So producers are organisms that get their energy from the sun. Now, usually this is through a process called photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is where a plant, algae, or even types of bacteria take solar energy from the sun and they store it in proteins called reaction centers. Now, what's really cool is that these reaction centers hold a green chlorophyll compound, which gives all of the trees and plants their color. So the solar energy contained in those proteins then gets stored into sugars, which is made by the roots absorbing water and the leaves absorbing carbon dioxide. That mixture together creates a substrate that's perfect for holding energy. Now, what's so important about photosynthesis is that not only does it give the plants energy, but a byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen. So we all need oxygen to breathe and to live, and so does all the other organisms within our planet. So oxygen is a huge, important process, and without it, none of the animals you see today would be able to live, and we wouldn't even have most of the minerals that we have as well. So it's very important to all aspects of life, living and non-living. So decomposers are really important to the nutrient cycle. They consist of a wide range of organisms, from bacteria to insects to fungi to even some birds. So they're extremely important because they conduct a process called decomposition, which is where they eat or break down dead organisms or materials and turn them into smaller compounds. So that process gives nutrients to other living organisms around the planet. Now, all organisms decompose differently, and all decomposers will come in at different stages of the decomposition. So it's really cool to see the diversity of decomposers within your neighborhood here. Now, these mushrooms here are an excellent example of decomposers. These mushrooms are growing along the trunk of this snag, or what is also known as a dead tree. Now, this tree is giving nutrients to lots of things. The invasive English ivy, a few other plant species down here at the bottom, but also these mushrooms. Now, decomposers are extremely important for all the producers you see around here because they help break down nutrients that the plants otherwise couldn't get or receive through their roots. So how are producers and decomposers connected? Well, the nutrient cycle, or the food web, is a great example. So all of these plants here are producers. They take in energy from the sun, produce oxygen, and make sugars with the energy that they get. Now when they die, decomposers will then eat their dead material and turn that into nutrients within the soil that new generations of plants can then utilize. So there's so many different ways that they are connected, and the food web is just one of the examples.
Now, not all producers, but almost all of plants, 95% of all vascular plants, in fact, have a type of fungus attached to their roots. This fungus is called a mycorrhizal. Every plant has a different type of mycorrhizal attached to its roots. And what it does is it helps the plant receive more nutrients and more water through the soil than their roots alone could do. So all the plants that you see here are the size they are because of fungus.
So scientists have recently discovered a secret world between producers and decomposers, specifically plants and fungi. So the mycorrhizals that we have talked about have root systems called mycelium. So do all the other mushrooms that you see around you. So the mycelium is the actual part of the mushroom. Anything above ground is actually the fruiting body of the mushroom. So in that mycelium, the mushrooms are able to actually transfer chemical messages from tree to tree, plant to plant, or even nutrients and water from one end of the forest to the next. So mushrooms are actually kind of like the social network of our forests. And it's really, really cool to see that unfold under our eyes. Now, these mycelium networks can grow so big that there is a type of mushroom called the honey mushroom. And it's actually the world's largest organism. So big that in the Blue Mountains of northeastern Oregon, in our home state, there is a honey mushroom that's over 30 square miles big. That's almost as big as the entire Portland metro area. So that is a huge organism. And it's crazy to think that all that mycelium connects that entire forest. It's pretty cool. So the connections between these two organisms are just beginning. Happening right underneath our noses. Now, another really cool connection is lichen. Plants, producers, and decomposers have actually formed such a strong relationship that they themselves formed their own organism, and that's called a lichen. Lichens are an entirely different group of organisms that is a fungus and an algae combined together. The fungus forms the structure, whereas the algae forms the color and the pigment within that structure. So the algae uses the photosynthesis to bring in energy from the sun, while the fungus gets all of its nutrients from the air around us. So these connections are extremely important to our planet, and lichens are a great indicator of air quality. So they're extremely important to us too. So like all connections within our planet, climate change has a real effect on the connection between producers and decomposers. Now, a lot of that has to do with our air pollution and our ground and water pollution, because a lot of decomposers rely on clean fresh water or clean soil to live out their lives. So it's really important to watch your air pollution, to minimize fertilizer use and pesticide use whenever possible, and plant native within your yard. Planting native is a great way to introduce native decomposers and to help other plants succeed throughout their life cycle. So today's activity, you guys are gonna get to do a little citizen science project, and you get to check on the diversity of your soil decomposers. So checking the diversity of your decomposers is a really great tool to check the health of your backyard or your neighborhood, because the more decomposers you have within a soil system, the healthier that soil is gonna be, okay? So all you're gonna need for this activity is a spoon of science, a little Tupperware or a tray that you can put your dirt in, and your 2 eyeballs. So you guys are gonna dig in an area that has a lot of leaf litter or debris or even plant matter, somewhere that you think may have a lot of habitat for these decomposers. So you're gonna dig using your spoon here, and you're gonna dig into the soil. Now, a lot of times, these decomposers won't be living very far down. All you have to do is dig a few inches in, or even scrape the leaf litter off the soil. Now, once you have a few spoonfuls in your container, you are very carefully going to look with your eyes and observe for any kind of movement. Now, remember, a lot of these decomposers are going to be extremely tiny. So tiny that some of them might need a microscope to even see. So, look around your soil, look for little white specks, look for movement, hops, or little crawling things, so you never know what you might find. So how many decomposers did you find in your soil? If you found quite a bit, that's great. If you didn't find many, why do you think that would be? Once you're done with your insects, you can go ahead and release them back where you found them. Now, please be extremely gentle because they are really tiny and fragile. We want to make sure to keep them alive so they can continue to do their job of decomposition. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned a lot about our producer and decomposer connections within this planet and why they are so important to us.